Want to know what the movers and shakers of New Hampshire's performing arts are thinking? Welcome to New Hampshire Unscripted with your host, Ray Dudley.
I wanted to reach out again for a couple of reasons to talk to you. The main reason is with the quarantine, see how you and all the students are doing and kind of get a feel for how they're adjusting. And you guys must have been in the middle of something when it happened. And then secondly, I would like, nice plug, by the way, for the Concord High School. And then I wanted to talk to you, about your new course, the film course, because we haven't chatted since that went into operation.
Yeah.
So kind of give me an update. The decree came down. The country's in lockdown. What happens at Concord High?
Yeah, this has many layers, and it has many different types of responses because, it impacts each person. While it all impacts us the same, it impacts each person differently. And so I've tried to make sure that students know that I'm here and that I'm just an email or a Zoom conference away from kind of what's ailing them. From a teacher's perspective, fortunately, the tech element for me personally was easy and was fine, but that may not be the case for every single teacher. We as a CRTC have already, we've been using Google Classroom, which is the newest thing for education. And it is something that, is very easy to use. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty straightforward. And just like anything. What is, I think, remarkable and interesting is that, and also besides being remarkable and interesting, there's also a little element of both sadness and gladness in it. And that is that to completely switch a educational philosophy and to completely go from a in-face person to person to a completely different way of educating in 7 days. It's both remarkable and sad at the same time because you stop, and I think sometimes that you stop and think about it, and I'm speaking on behalf of all of my educator friends, is that it's very, I'm glad I'm in this profession that has the ability and the people who I'm surrounded with to be able to go out and make this kind of a shift and kind of a change. And, if you stop and think about it, we really didn't have any other choice or any other option. And the way that this was able to roll out, I'm speaking for Concord specifically, is that, we're very fortunate. The district is very fortunate. We're very fortunate to be able to make the switch so rapidly, because when you stop and think about it, people have been developing their curriculum, their competencies, their rubrics, everything that goes along with it. But for those of us who've been veteran teachers, we just write down a quick phrase and a quick keyword that allows us, because the content is already right here.
Yeah.
And now what we have to do is take that content and make sure that every facet of it is written down. Every portion of the program and the curriculum needs to be available and online as opposed to having a hard copy. So it requires us, in, I guess, a good way, to be able to have that shift and have that forward thinking and be able to get done and all of those things that kind of go along with it. So that's one element of it. The hard part too is that, you stop and think about, we've been living in such a world where it's connectivity from you get to see everybody, you get to pat kids in the back, you get to shake people's hands, you get to hug
Right.
people. But now going into a virtual world, which so many kids are used to, and not so much us older folks, but now it gives us, I don't know, it gives us a chance to think about and reevaluate, because every kid that I've talked to just wishes we could be in class. And, it just kind of reminds us that in this world of lack of connectivity for human to human contact, that it is something that we're sorely missing right now at this point in time in life. But listen, when you stop and listen to all of our physicians, medical, and people who know what they are talking about when it comes to this, you absolutely understand the justification behind it, even though it's hard for people.
Right.
So all you beachgoers, all you other people that are out still socializing, there's a reason why we're going to be in a nationwide lockdown. It's that if you want to stop the transmission of this virus, you need to be away from people.
Yeah.
So we understand that end of it, and I want to give a kudos to all of not just the administrators and teachers and staff members and secretaries and administrative assistants, everybody in the Concord School District. Again, we're very, very fortunate that we have just wonderful and professional people who not only know their job, but they're willing to step in and help out with any job to get what needs to be done for the students that we all try and serve, and the students that we all try and inspire. And this is another chance to be, again, a role model when the tough gets going. Or the going gets tough, the tough get going, and it's time to, all right, let's do this. We all got this. And I've been fortunate. Every one of my students have at least checked in online with me. And as far as letting me know that they're ready to roll this week. And then through Zoom, the software that we're using right now, they also are going to be checking in with me live this coming Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because I have a 20-minute meeting with each student so that we can talk about where we've been, where we are, and of course what we're going to be doing in the next quarter, no matter what. The online, virtual, or finally, if we get to go back to school and be with each other. Either way, it's going to be whatever's going to be the best way to make sure we get the best out of our students and get the best out of each other.
I have so many thoughts here. I don't even know where to begin. I know nationwide this is brutal, but this is like trying to turn the Titanic once you've seen the iceberg, right? I mean, I cannot imagine what it's like. One day you're in a solid facility and you're able to reach out to other teachers and talk about things. Almost the very next day, everybody's having to do it online. So first you've got to reach out to other teachers, other administrators, other faculty, one-on-one through Zoom or whatever.
Yep.
The next day, at some point, you got to start reaching out to students or families to do the same thing and try to keep all of that integrated and flowing smoothly. My hat's off to you folks, really. I don't know how you can do it.
Well, what I try to do is I give a daily lesson plan to all the kids, and my expectations are that they work between 60 and 90 minutes daily, because that we meet for 90 minutes a day anyway.
Yep.
And so my plan was to try and keep it as normal as possible. So I did like a video greeting each day with my face and my voice and my body language,
in
so
your
that
jammies.
kids, well, not quite like that, but I did it at school so that they had someplace familiar to kind of immediately refer back to.
Oh, nice.
And then each day is filled with a little bit of humor. So for my acting classes, we start each day in our regular class with theater games. So the theater games, thanks to Whose Line Is It Anyway, will now kind of begin each class with our kids to be able to watch something, laugh, because we did a lot of laughing together as a group. And so I tried to keep the greeting and the theater games as much to normal as possible. And right before this all broke out, there were some projects that were coming up on the horizon anyway. So there's nothing right now in this first week that I'm introducing that is so gosh darn new that kids are sitting there going,
Really?
So at least everything on this first week, the kids that have chimed in to the meeting so far have been saying, nope, I've got no questions. Everything is pretty self-explanatory. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I have kids checking in and checking out daily, so I know kind of the amount of time that each person is spending on the work that I've assigned them. And then again, this Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I have a 20-minute meeting with each student to go over their progress. And then next week, we're going to Zoom in together as an entire class, because we're getting ready for something that's going to be happening next Monday, where students during their work, next Monday was supposed to be a monologue Monday, where kids were working on and memorizing a monologue.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do is we've all adhered to the rules of, on Monday, you're going to spend your class time recording your monologue. And then what we'll do is we'll all join us as a class, and then I'll play each monologue one at a time. Normally during our monologues, after a person's done, we all critique. And so we're going to have a little bit of, we watch the performance and then we critique a little bit, go on to the next performance. And that's going to that's something we're normally used to anyway. So again, I'm just trying to keep as many possible things normal as we've had in the past, so that it's not so foreign, it's not so, but you want to continue the work, but you also want to make sure that each day you leave kids with, gosh, I wish we were back in class.
At that age, or ages, social contact is so important. And I know a lot of us, we get aggravated with how caught up they get with their iPhones and their iPads and all of this, and we boo-hoo how it really takes them out of being social. But school is a place where they really kind of get that tangible interaction with each other.
Yeah.
Are they holding up well with this? I mean, kids have got to be kind of going out of their minds.
They are literally bored out of their minds. And I think that boredom was from last week. So the number one kind of answers that I heard were, because I asked, what are you doing to kind of break the boredom? And there was a lot of walks that were taken. There were a lot of Netflix that were going to be watched, video games, television. Those were the kind of, the average responses. And sounds like a dating video. I like long walks when there's a,
Netflix movies and popcorn. Yeah.
Right. But I think the students were okay with getting back to work and getting things done. Again, I'm very fortunate. Not only do I have the best kids, but also they look at our classes just being a family, having fun, learning from each other, learning about each other, so that we can continue to, spread good words in the world and continue to be kind and continue to do the right thing as we get older.
Do you know if there are any of the students that have been affected by the COVID virus?
I do not. And people who've checked in with me, nobody has shared anything with me, which, they don't have to.
Right.
But I've also not heard anybody coughing and sneezing and, and everything else that kind of goes under the sun. And not to mention the other fact of, we keep talking about us as teachers and us as students, and that's the family, to talk just for a moment about the family piece of it, because, I have my own family.
Yep.
And so just the mere fact of getting up at 6:30 in the morning to go find toilet paper in Concord, and those let alone everything else for it just is a crazy time period that we're in, and situation that we're in. But again, you have to take every precaution. So the other day I was visiting or dropping something off at my mom's, and we waved through the window because she's 95, and you want to make sure that she's around for another 10 years or more. And so just taking those precautions, taking care of what you need as your family. My kids are a little bit older, but there's still things. My youngest is a college student, and so we had to move her out of her dorm yesterday to bring her back home.
How was that possible? That had to be crazy.
Yeah, it was. It just, you have to stop and think about teachers as teachers, but also teachers as family members as well.
Yeah.
And that my colleagues are making sure, and that's really the real balance, because all of our teachers are asked to keep office hours every day. So I have a time between 10 and 11 and 1 and 2 that students can Zoom in with me. No appointment necessary. If you have any questions, you just want to say hi, whatever it is, feel free to do that. And me as the adult trying to make it as calm and as normal, and even though it's an unnormal situation, it's trying to keep a face and a sound of a voice that keeps reassuring people that we can get through this, that this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And it's something we're always going to remember. But again, you want to have those memories of, you not only did what you needed to do, but you want to have the memories that you took responsibility, your social responsibility, so that the memories are nothing horrible and sad.
Yeah. Nature has a way of disrupting our habits. We are such creatures of habits, and disruption can be good, and it's going to be very interesting to see what comes out of this. I mean, even the simple things like they went for walks, or they're reading more, or interacting with their families more. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this all shakes out and what ends up happening.
Yeah.
So let's chat about your film class.
Yeah.
What's it called? Do you have some nice toys y'all are playing with, and what kind of classes are coming out of it?
So our program is now called Theater and Film.
Okay.
And I teach 2 acting classes, and I teach a production and design class, or a tech class. And both classes have a film element to them.
Okay.
There are some elements they use that are exactly the same, and there are some that are a little bit different. So both classes have learned what we call the tech competency, which means they know what cameras, tripods, SD cards, proximity lights, batteries, all of that stuff, wireless mics. They know what all that gear is, how to set it up, how to use it, how to test it, how to run it. All part of what we call the pre-production and production process. And then we have the post-production process, which is how to use Adobe Premiere, which is the editing software. And so both classes have learned that, and it's to the point now where I can assign a project and not really have to say much other than here's the project. Kids know the gear they need. They know exactly what they need to do. They go out, film it, come back, edit it, put it together, boom, done. And then as far as kind of the differences between them, the actors really have concentrated most recently on what's called a sizzle reel. And that sizzle reel is a self-promotion highlight reel on what their skills are and the things that they've accomplished. But they're able to include the content. Like, for instance, if we have a lot of triple threats in our program, and so they'll include clips of scenes of shows they've done, dance competitions, acting classes, singing lesson, whatever it is, they'll include that in it. Whereas our tech class, for their sizzle reel, they'll kind of highlight the skills that they have. Like, I really enjoy doing lighting, can program lights on such and such a board, or I really enjoy doing sound, have used these boards, can clean source 4 fixtures, can bench focus, can build a 4x8 flat, can do all of these things. And then the way they use that is when they're ready to go to college, this becomes their video portfolio.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So that's kind of how they both differentiate and how they have similarities. Because let's stop and think about it. When was the last time we really, other than an audition, when's the last time we really highlight ourselves?
Most of us don't even like to.
Right? And so this is a way for you to it's not bragging, but it's how do you get your skills to be at the forefront, so that people who are looking for people like you, they can easily look at your sizzle reel and be able to say, I want to hire this person, or I want to work with this person.
Yeah. So what have you got for equipment? Do you have stuff in the classroom, or are you going down to the studio?
Yeah, we mainly have stuff in our classroom. We have editing stations in our classroom, all with Adobe Premiere. We have some really nice Sony PXW X70 high-end cameras, which
in the
are
classroom.
which are HD cameras with tripods, wireless mics, proximity lights, all the batteries, everything that we need, so that when kids are assigned something, they sign out the kit, or they sign out whatever it is that they need. They take it with them. If it includes filming during the day, they have their press badges that it's kind of like your not get out of jail free card, but
Yeah.
it's your, this is my pass in the hallway, which allows them to not be questioned by staff because they're out filming. And then if they need gear after school, there's a policy and a procedure to follow that, so they can take it as long as they bring it back the next day. And then they have their SD cards to upload onto their editing stations and get done what they need to. And I have a few students that are actually writing and submitting some short film things for the statewide New Hampshire High School Short Film Festival.
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah.
I am so jealous. So jealous. Boy, to think of what we used to have back in the day.
Yep.
And never mind post editing. Good grief.
Yeah, I spent last summer really kind of diving into the using the gear was the easy part for me.
Yeah.
The film editing, because I had done some editing before, I knew the lingo. But when you get into new software, you really have to fine tune yourself for where is this located in order to do what I need it to do.
Yeah, the learning curve on some of that stuff is intense.
Yep. And so Josh Hardy from CCTV has been great to not only help with our kids when they need it, but also to help me. And Josh has been fortunate in the fact that I've retained it because I can always judge myself on how often do I have to call Josh. And I haven't had to call Josh in a while, so that's a good thing.
So there's a flattening out of a curve. That's good.
There's a definite flattening of that, and just being. I'll still learn. I still am learning to this day when I see. And as I told kids, I said, the good thing is you'll get to learn all this stuff, and this is another skill set that you can put on your resume. The bad thing is you'll never look at a movie the same way again.
That is the truth.
And I apologize.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately of filmmakers.
Sure.
And it's a rabbit hole that I'm glad I fell down, but you get sucked right in. And
yes.
it's amazing, the little things, just certain cuts and movements of the camera and how they can move into each other and lens types and all this stuff. I mean, it's way over my head.
Yeah, cinematography is such a cool profession.
It is. It really is. And I'm really glad that they're learning at such a great age. But one reason is they don't have a governor a lot of times, and they're willing to try anything, shots from any angle, and
well, one of the movies that we saw for the very first, and this is way back at the beginning of the year, I was like, well, gosh, what movie could I possibly show them that was artistic enough, but not this crazy CG, computer generated, all this stuff, but from an artistic standpoint of camera angles. And just out of curiosity, can you guess what movie we ended up watching?
Jaws.
On Golden Pond.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
That's very interesting.
And probably 95 to 98% of our students had never seen it before.
I'm shocked. That's fascinating to me.
But it was very refreshing to take that kind of a movie and watch this generation, for lack of a better way of saying it, fall in love with Katharine Hepburn and Henry Fonda.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. I remember I just watched it like not long ago. And one of the things I remember was Jane Fonda. And every time they would put her on screen, they would have this just enough light on her face with a little bit of a glow around it.
Yep.
Shame on them.
Right. And then what's really interesting too is that, some of the phrases that they use in the movie, you hear kids just, when they talked about, I don't know if you remember the young boy who went to live with Norman and Ethel Thayer, when they talked about sucking face. Remember that?
Yes.
Or you'd hear, "It's me, you old poop." just little things that I had, because it had been so long since I'd even seen the movie. Okay, there's why do you think they had this shot in the movie? Many of you may not know that Henry Fonda was in poor health when he was filming that movie.
That's right.
And the fact that, there were some things that were unscripted. Katharine Hepburn jumping off the boat. The directors had no idea she was going to do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. or Henry Fonda, who was in such poor health, having him in the water. Just things that as an actor you know the backstory, but then when you watch something, you are in that much more awe and you marvel at just the connection. Because they were, did the two of them know each other? I said, Katharine Hepburn and Henry Fonda met for the first time on set.
That's insane.
And it was, I believe, wasn't it the first time that Jane Fonda ever worked with her father?
I think it was, yeah.
So
That's why it was such a big deal at the time.
yeah. So and it was filmed right here in New
Right.
Hampshire, and that house still exists, and the shots on the lake and this, and it just, I don't know. It was just a great opportunity for just making a connection with a movie, let
Yeah.
alone the fact that now you're going to go out and you're going to watch every other movie that you and there's a rhyme or reason, and usually the good movies have that great rhyme and great reason to make it all work together.
That's right. That's right. So this is your first year with this course, is that right?
This is the first year we've added film to it. Yes.
Okay. Where do you go from there? How do you have an advanced, I mean, at some point they're going to move on from
Yep.
beginner level, and
Yep.
what does an advanced course look like? What are you looking for down the road?
Yeah. So I would think that now that they have the tools under their belt, my second year is next year. We'll do short films, and
Great.
they'll use those angles. They'll use this because they've all written scripts before,
Yeah.
and so. And then how do you make the two all meet together? Taking a script, and then how do you shoot that script to give it the best possible play?
Yeah.
And then they know how to put all the graphics. They know all that stuff. But then it's just, well, how do you make people feel something?
Mm-hmm.
And so by the end of On Golden Pond, when Norman finally hugs his daughter, you could see everyone just kind of really relate to, geez, why did I feel that way? Well,
Yeah.
that's because you were being set up all the way through.
You're really good about bringing in guest speakers. Are you thinking of maybe bringing in a local filmmaker who could maybe even critique some of their stuff and say, "Oh, that was well done, but here's an angle I might come in on, or I would shade this differently," or is that
So
on your
what
slate?
I know that John Graffair, I don't know if you know John at
I
all.
don't.
He owns a video company here in Concord called A Company Video,
Okay.
and he bases himself right out of the Capitol Center. And he is a filmmaker, and one of his specialties is documentaries. But he also has a great keen eye for just film in general. And so one of the things I was going to plan to do next year is have him come in as a guest speaker. But then also at the end of the year, we have our own short film festival and have John and a
Oh.
couple other filmmakers. Maybe you could come down and be one of the judges that kind of gives out awards to
Oh
people.
man,
So
man. Boy, and I hope they get chance. I don't know if it'll happen this year, but the New Hampshire Film Festival out there in Portsmouth would be a wonderful,
yes, yep,
wonderful field trip. I mean,
yep.
you see so many different types of films out there.
Yeah, and there's also the Snob Festival that comes right up here to the
That's right, Red
Red
River.
River.
Yeah, yeah, and if they could get to any of those, they can get to talk. The great thing about those is you get to
You
talk
get to
with
talk. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can ask questions
Yep.
and one-on-one some of these directors and actors and editors. Man,
Yeah.
that is great. Okay, well, I think that was all I had. I
Well,
appreciate your
I'll
time.
put in one other plug if that's okay, and that's
Please
kind of
do.
the other forgotten element is that we were right in the middle of rehearsing for Chicago,
Oh, I knew I meant to ask you something. Yes, go ahead.
and so the group, I feel for our entire group because this was just going to be a great show and a
Again,
great cast, and we're hoping we're still gonna do it. We're hoping that even if it has to move a little bit, because the group that you really real for and feel for is your seniors, because if you stop and think about if this continues on and we're unable to meet together, then, you'd lose your senior year show, you'd lose your senior year prom,
yeah,
you'd
those are
lose
some of my biggest memories.
right?
Yeah.
So, this, again, I'm very, very, very lucky that I get to work with the creme de la creme, not just of Concord High School, but just high school students in general. And not just here in Concord, but all over. And these students are hardworking. They're very, very talented. It's a very, very competitive program, but they are willing, and they trust me. They trust all of the adults that are working for them and with them. They trust each other, and that's why we're fortunate to have just a phenomenal program that continues to sput out just phenomenal shows that just make me as a director sit there and go, that was a high school show? You got to be kidding me. And these kids are hardworking. Their family support is just unequaled. And again, I'm just very, very lucky to be alive at a time and get to work with these kids.
I'm with you there. What were the original dates for the play?
May 7th, 8th, and 9th. We're still crossing our fingers, but you never know. But we'll go with what we need to go with, and see what we can muster out, if anything. Again, but most kids may not want to hear this, but the most important thing is that everybody is safe.
Right.
And I mean, Chicago is still Chicago.
Right.
But I would much rather not have Chicago go on and everybody be safe.
Yes.
Than anything else.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
And so that's our kind of report on the CHS theater.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I really do appreciate your time. I really do. You're a good friend. You're a good friend.
As you are.
Thanks. All right. Well, if things change, I'll maybe reach out to you again and
sounds great.
Get another update. But I appreciate you giving me this much time.
Anytime.
All right, my friend.
All right. Take care. And stay
safe. Yeah. You do. Wash your hands.
Yep. Now they're getting all chapped.